Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of the Blind Monk Show. My voice is a bit tired today because I'm sick, but the markets don't care and the markets are up and running. And right now on the agenda today, we're gonna look at the traditional markets, Nasdaq, because the markets are open and it's quite interesting. We're gonna look at Braintrust, that is doing some interesting movements, and we're gonna look at Bitcoin and crypto in general. And I also want to give a look at the euro dollar. You know, like it's a little bit of everything. So when it comes to the Nasdaq, it's super interesting. We have a 5-minute chart here and a daily and a 1 hour. I'm kind of trying to shift a little bit what's going on here. And this is quite interesting. Like if you were a scalper, this area on the 5-minute, which is here, is juicy to try and buy at it. It's a bit tricky, you know? It's like you want to scalp, you want to be very careful. Like I would squeeze my ass. But it's a very interesting area for a couple of reasons. First of all, when we have this like massive candles with the upside that came in, you might want to take a position here. Not to mention that on the 5 minutes, you're seeing the RSI with these dots over here. The RSI is actually oversold. It still is tricky because you're going against the trend, because you have your longer term trend over here on the daily is actually broken to the downside already. So like from a longer term perspective, this is not reversed completely because moving averages have not reversed, and because there's anyway at what is that, at 14,450 there's a very interesting support, which also coincides, you know, if you remember what I do with moving Fibonacci's. If you put a Fibonacci, this is the area between a support of a low and a 50% retrace. Quite interesting. So if you were to trade this, I mean, I would personally have gone on that trade. I don't have any available accounts, but I would trade in here. I would go in and I would know that I'm safe enough to keep on adding and eventually averaging down, because on the 5-minute, what you're saying, I mean, you're trying to sing there's a fight. I can see that the moving average is pretty far from me. So if anything, you got like 70 damn points. Jesus, that's a lot of points. If you do the math, 70 points in the traditional markets, in the futures, let me just give you an idea. 70 points is times 20 on the Nasdaq. That's like, you know, 1,400. So this is how much this is worth. So if you think cryptos are exciting, yeah, the traditional markets are exciting because they're by default leveraged. Yeah, that's a topic for a different day. So yeah, just to recap on the Nasdaq, very interesting area at 14,000, even round the number, which also is a 61.8. If you want to go long, you might want to add in this area. Otherwise, you might want to add at 14,450. And if you're scalping, this could be a very interesting area for a scalp. I mean, even if you're going here, you want to be safe, you put a stop loss down there. I wouldn't put a stop loss. I would like to stick on that trade. Yeah, so that's like the Nasdaq. Let's just do traditional markets first. Let's look at the euro. Let's hope it loads. Oh, by the way, I added these heat maps over here, so you can see crypto markets are just damn green. They're very happy and they're green. There's only one coin that's not green, DYDX. If you know what that is, tell me, because I don't know what that is. DYDX, again, it's a very similar configuration to what we're seeing on the NAS. Could be very juicy as a gamble. I mean, not a gamble, like to just buy here, but you need to make sure when you're buying here, you're going to have to be adding on a couple of levels. You're going to have to DCA, and then you're praying essentially that if you're buying, even though the price might just break, that they will try to return and to try this as resistance. Kind of like what it did to this price over here. I mean, here it held, which is nice, but even if you were to buy here and it came against you, it's just going to go up towards you anyway. That's kind of the idea. Now, let's go to our friends. Let's go to Braintrust. Now, Braintrust is acting in a very interesting way. First of all, let's zoom in here. Now, I want you to draw your attention on a couple of things. Do you remember that line? This one right here. I mean, I should probably change my red. So this line right here is the line where I said it's the middle of this rectangle, and it is the area of interest. Notice how it was touched one time. I spoke about it last time. Now, notice how these support played. They worked. This is the start of the leg. It's an advanced topic, but it's a very important leg. So first of all, we had the lower line over here, which was tested as resistance, and now after this held, we came up, boom. That's very beautiful. Now, this is not beautiful at all. I mean, I don't really like that, but what the price is trying to do here is convincing. It's nice. It's hot. This is the first time where we see crossover of moving averages. This is the first time where we see a new behavior where we're making a low, we're making a higher high, where we broke a high, we come down, we build momentum, we build volume, and then we come up. Now there's a lot of resistances, and now if 10.4 is broken, notice this actually. That's what I like about these coins. It's like there's volume weighting in here, and there's volume weighting in here. This is volume weighting at previous highs. It's almost magical when you think about it. So there's like volume weighting, but we need to see what's going to happen. Like probably this is an attraction for the price to come towards it, and then again to go to another leg. But let's get this straight. If these legs are not broken, this is still kind of an accumulation area for probably going down again. However, that is the first time where if you're a bull, you would feel like a bit comfortable because you're seeing convincing price action. Next up, let's go and take a look at Bitcoin. So I was wrong. I remember saying the other time on Bitcoin, when you were looking at daily or even 4-hourly, whatever, that there's been different touches here, and then it shouldn't be holding, but that's wrong. I mean, it could do whatever it wants. And the moment this candle came in, and essentially we broke over here, we have a similar pattern as the one I was just showing you on Braintrust. You know, notice how the moving averages just start to align all up, whereby we never really had this behavior. I mean, even here it was very shy. Second of all, we see the price coming up, coming down, testing this as support. I mean, more like that as the support is trying to test. It's testing it, and now it's flying. And as it flies, the most important aspect, and that is what we want to see on Braintrust, is that this high was broken by, whoa, hello. That's very powerful. That means that Bitcoin seems to be want to go up. I mean, interestingly, you notice it stopped in this area over here where there's like more supply. This area would also be these lows. So we're kind of ping-ponging, you know, like we touch this, we touch that. Is this a buy or a sell? I mean, it depends. If you're going long term, let's see. If you're going long term, I wouldn't want to either buy or wait. I need a bit more data. I don't have more data. Ew, I'm looking at the wrong coin here. Well, if I were to just look at this way, I mean, I have the wrong configuration, so I'll not be doing any calls. I think this is the coin. Yeah, that's the Coinbase. And that's Ethereum on Coinbase. Neither of these are good. Ethereum is, well, it seems to be distributing. This could be typical textbook setup. So we have two things we can see here. First of all, we have this what was resistance? It was broken. Great. Now we're gonna zoom in and we're gonna try and draw a Fibonacci. Notice how the 50% seems to be like 30% as it is. So if you're trading this, you might want to wait a little bit until, I mean, either you could buy stop above this, but it's a bit risky. I mean, you'd be kind of catching the falling knife. Not falling knife, it's the opposite of the falling knife. What you could do is you start layering orders over here and layer over here. Or you can just be more patient, and I think that would be the wiser, where you would say, you know what, I want to take what is this price? 3,100? Well, make it round number. Maybe 3,100. Maybe I'll buy there. Or maybe you just... Yeah, it depends on your risk profile. If you're aggressive, you don't want to wait, just buy a 3160, knowing that you will need to add, because that's going to be a tricky position. There's a chance of the price wanting to come down all the way to here, all the way to at least the 60%. If you're a more conservative trader, what I would do is I would buy at the blue line, and you need to make sure that the 50%, which is the blue line, you need to kind of keep on moving your Fibonacci. The only reason I'm saying this is because price came above this, it broke it, and now it's building some consolidation. So it's kind of trying to poke, you know, it's saying, I want to try and do something, I want to see what's going to happen. There's a chance actually that it will just not even wait and go up, and in this case you would have lost your signal. But then again, don't forget, it's all about finding a system and working with the system and sticking to the system. All right, I want to give a look in the end to band USDT, because someone previously in the comment asked about it, about band USD, Jackie. All right, so let's take a look at band. Oh, that's beautiful. That's some nice, very nice accumulation. That's a very nice accumulation on a daily. So let's take a look. We take a Fibonacci, we draw it. Oh man, this is hot. This is really hot. So here's the thing. I say it's hot because we have the purple line, which is the 61.8. Now it's kind of an annoying hot because first we came down beautifully at the 61.8. You remember when earlier I was speaking about Bitcoin, I was saying, sorry, Ethereum, I said you want to be a bit more conservative. So this is where 61.8 can come into the equation. Like you could have bought here, right? And say like, I want to buy as it comes down, but then you have to add multiple times and hopefully break even. But anyway, so like we have a 61.8 here, and we also have a 61.8 on the other side. So this is a 61.8 ping pong, like Rio's old ping pongs. It's not the most kindest of things. That being said, we can see that this is holding, and it's multiple times held. Moving averages are changing directions, and it's coming up. From an hourly perspective, though, we have resistance coming in here, and that resistance will coincide with the moving average that we might be touching at some point. So I would say, like, if you wanted to be with band, this would have been the area where you want to go in. But as a trader, I would just, I would cut it short if it comes back in my direction. Maybe I will just put my stop right now at break even, just to be conservative. Even though, let me just zoom out and see a little bit what's going on. I don't know. No, I'm just like messing around here. Yeah. So I mean, it would have been an interesting buy. Right now, it's not the time to buy because right now we're touching resistance. So actually, you could do the same trick like the one that we were talking in Ethereum, whereby you're assuming that. Okay, the problem is that Ethereum broke a range, so you could work with it. Now, the range, if we were going to assume that this is a range, the range was not broken. What you could do, and it's technically you wait for it to come back to the moving average or to these guys and you buy it. The only problem is that is the middle of your range. Not good, not usually a good place to buy. It's tricky, it's dangerous. If anything, this is where you'd be selling. And if you go back to Ethereum, let me tell you what happens and how you trade it if you want to actually trade a range. Usually when you have nope, not a rectangle. So, whoopsie. So what you would do, let's say you went short here, because, what you would do is that you would have to add again here and again here. Either you do it like you layer the positions and you put them, but then you have to be very careful with your risk management. So you need to be very small so they don't blow up, or you just wait for maybe when this high breaks your position, you would be selling at it. So essentially you would have one short here and one short here, which means at some point you would break even. So break even, just take your money and go. I mean, you're not going to be making any money, but you won't be losing any money because don't forget the most important thing is to protect the capital. Okay, so I had stopped the recording and now we're back for a little bit of a recap. If you remember, we were watching here at 4:30 my time. Right now it's 5:20, a bit enough an hour passed by. And as I remember, I was saying that this could be a very interesting area to try and take a long. And especially that the price was just collapsing into it and then it was stopping. So the first first objective was at the moving average, when in this case it would have been 60 points, which is $1,200. Second objective is one we're trying to reach at 14,696. Which is a lovely 120 points away. The reason why you would take this is because this is the first area where the price wants to test. If it's not this one, it could be this one. But that being said, this is quite, relatively bullish. It's one of those things where like the stock market loves to do that, especially the indexes. Like the market opens at 3:30 my time, so it opened here at that candle, like that just did whatever it did, and then it came down and then it just did the V shape. It does that often. Yeah, it's pretty common. BTRST is, as I said a moment ago, it's starting to show that it wants to reverse, with the moving averages reversing, which is very nice. With as we saw earlier, now not showing as different. This is touches, but at the same time with this support held, and this seems to be building a new support, so it's quite interesting. And if you want to be long, it's interesting to be long at that stage. However, you got to be mindful that you got big orders waiting over here, so there's people who want to be selling, but I like how things, look at how things were slowing down already from here. And that's like interesting accumulation for potential going to all the way here, which again would be 30%. You could buy here and tell yourself, well, you know what, I'm going to take my loss over here. So you're going for 6% of loss versus 30% of a win. So depending on how you're looking at it. Band is building a very... It's a tricky thing because on the one hand, it builds support at the 60%. But on the other hand, it's also an area where it's kind of bouncing between two zones. So it's going to be a bit of a tricky thing. All right, my thing is not loading. I'll have to fix that for next time. I promise I'll fix it. I won't be looking at other stuff. There's a problem with actually one of the plugins I built that is actually causing the platform to hang up. So without further ado, that's about it for today. I'm sorry that I'm not like in the best of shapes. But yeah, I'll see you next time. And I hope you guys have a great weekend and a great week ahead. And we'll talk soon. Cheers.